keep tabs on your kids and see where they're at, and, friends wise and everything else, because if they feel like they're an outcast and they're on the outside, they're going to do anything they can to get together with that clique. And you know what? If you're lucky, it's a good clique. It's a good group of friends. It's a good group of peers. But you know what? And as we said on our conversation, is even adults, smoking is a very social thing. Some people think of smoking just so they can go and connect with other people that are outside smoking. But it really is about choices, and I love the way that you say that you ask your children to make choices, and so that they're aware that there are always choices to make, because there's never just one choice. And
I never say that they're bad or good. I'll tell them what the choices that did you make a good decision or a bad decision? But I'm saying I never call my kids bad or good.
No, and there aren't any bad kids, right? I mean,
there's not.
When you see kids overreacting or freaking out in the store, and I saw one time, probably a 5 or 6 year old smack the mother because she wouldn't get in the ShopRite or something. He smacked the mom because she wouldn't get the cookies or whatever, and the mom started crying. Right? Mm-hmm. She started crying herself in the store. And then to boot, grab the cookies and put them in the cart.
Correct. So it goes right back to what we were just talking about.
Exactly. And you know what? And with children, no different than as adults, right? And this is a line that I tend to use a lot, right? In life, and you've heard this before, in life, you do not get what you deserve. You get what you tolerate.
Absolutely.
And nothing is more true than with your kids.
So Tony, I'm just going to give you a stack of my cards. So when you see this, you can just walk by, give her a card and say, you need some V in your life. You need an in-home turnaround, and walk away. That's
it. I'm thinking to myself, wow, I would so be getting in trouble right now.
Well, the thing is that so this leads us right into the whole parenting with guilt, right? Because that mom is definitely parenting through guilt, because what happens when you see a kid cry? The first reaction, we all are going to turn and see what happened. That is like a human response, right? Because especially as healers, like we want to go fix it. Like, oh, is everybody okay? Is there something I can help with? And as a parent, I definitely have been there with my own and with clients. Like when I tell my clients, I'm like, we're going to a restaurant and we're going to go at 11:30 to work on his behavior. And the parents are like, please, V, whatever you do, let's just not do a restaurant, because they're mortified that they're being judged of their own parenting. I just saw today on Facebook about this kid, one of my friends actually, her daughter's in middle school, first year middle school, and a girl gave her a slushie. And another girl said, don't drink that. She spit in it and took her finger and twirled it around. Now, regardless of that, and I'm not going to get into the whole bullying thing, but the fact is that one of the comments were, I wonder how her parents treat, like where she gets this from her parents, or, obviously there's no parenting. You cannot blame the parents for this stuff. Okay. Because I know for a fact that my kids have not been probably the nicest people to somebody once. I teach love and kindness in my house. That plain and simple. Like when they are fighting each other, I ask them, like, are you showing love and kindness? When Sam comes and tells on stage that she did something at school and she goes, well, I guess I didn't show love and kindness because I kind of choked him. Like they know. So do not go blame me as a parent that I'm not teaching my child that. Our kids, no matter what we teach them, no matter how we guide them, they still have a thing called free will.
Right.
I don't know why my 6-year-old decided to go choke the boy out. I have no idea, because that's not what I teach her. But this is why parents are like, oh, my kid slapped me, let's give him the cookie. Because of the guilt that we have from society now. Like, you're a bad parent. It's your fault. It's your fault. And is there parents out there that neglect their kids? Yes. Are there parents that are oblivious to their kids being bullies or hurting people? Yes. But instead of making accusations and accusing these parents, how about we go and support them? How about we go and talk to these parents and say, I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, but that's the best that we can do. Making judgment about people and about parenting, about kids, is not going to solve our problems. It's not going to make that lady say, okay, you just hit me. Of course you're not going to get cookies. It's going to keep having the same rewards for these behaviors, and we're going to see more and more behaviors.
The reality of it is we've got to be a little more tolerant and patient because we don't know what's going on in that household.
We don't know the story.
Yeah. So, and I'm saying that while we're talking about children, this is a good opportunity to talk about this as well, because sometimes we do judge as adults. We see the way people are reacting, the way children are reacting. I saw a video. This was an impressive video. Kids were on, there was a man with 2 or 3 younger children on a subway, and the man just sitting there with his head down, and the kids are just running around, jumping on top of stuff and running around all over the train, and the man wasn't saying anything. And at some point, somebody says, "Aren't you going to take control of these damn kids? What the hell's wrong with you? What kind of father are you?" And he just calmly turned to the man, and I got chills just thinking about it. He says, "I guess this is just the way they're coping. We just came from burying their mother."
Oh my God.
And it just gutted me watching it. And it really made me kind of step back and say, holy shit. Because I know I've certainly, seen bad things happen, and not being aware. Yeah, I've got goosebumps as we speak, and I find myself judging. So we can't really judge. All we can do is try to help and educate as many people as possible.
Support them through it.
And support them however we can, because we don't really know what's going on. Maybe mom just left, dad just left, an accident, something's happening, fighting a disease, whatever it is.
What if they have autism? What if they have ADHD? What if there's a chemical imbalance? What if, they're nonverbal? Like, we don't know the story. That's what it really comes down to. Until you know the story, don't judge.
And, that's why, podcasts like this one or any other one, I mean, I just encourage people going out and getting more information and learning as much as they could, because certainly kids don't come with instruction manuals.
No.
If this happens, you do this. If you have a traumatic event in your family, you do this. If God forbid somebody leaves or somebody dies, whatever, you do this. And this is how the kids are going to react. There is no instruction manual. And even if there is, everyone's different.
Right.
How we react as adults are different. The way children react are different. So
I think another thing also, if anybody's listening out here and they're like, well, what if I do feel it's my parenting? What if I don't know my kid? So, I mean, because that can happen too, right? Because we do we all get busy. We have these cell phones, our faces are in the cell phone, we're taking calls, whatnot. So, and this is why I brought you on, by the way. Get to know our kids. I'm going to say this as a single mom. It was really easy for me to come home from working 8-9 hours a day as a mental health worker. And my kids are home and I say, how was your day? And they say, good. And I'm like, oh, I just dodged that bullet. If they said it's good, then there's nothing to talk about and we're good. And then I ask them, what do you want for dinner? And I make dinner. Did you do homework? They say yes. And then I go about my way, they go about their way. And that was the way that I raised them. I didn't know. I thought I was doing good, by asking them how their day was. I thought I was doing good by just talking about, frivolous stuff they watched on TV or a video game my son wanted for Christmas or whatever. Right. What I didn't realize was that one of my sons was hurting at school. He was being neglected from his peer group. Another son was smoking pot. I didn't know, and I look back and I'm like, what could I have done differently? And the answer is I could have had a conversation. I could have been present with them. I could have, said to them, what specifically is good in your day? Is there anything going on that I can support you in? We have to support our kids. If our kids, regardless whether they're going to tell us like, oh yeah, I'm being bullied, or oh, this teacher and I don't get along, at least if you keep asking every day, you're training their brain to know that you care. They know that if they need support, because you use that word specifically, is there anything I can support you in? When my son used to come home, I had their 2 sons and they were at different levels. And so one, I really did expect A's. I had an expectation. And when it wasn't met, I got upset like everybody else does. And my other son had an expectation of C's. And my son with C's, he would come home with an F. And I'd be like, what is this? And I would go ballistic. Like, I'm a yeller. I've been a yeller. I've learned how to curb some of that. But, I would yell at him. And all I did is push him further away. And now having a redo with my twins, if there's ever an opportunity, which I know there's going to be, instead of yelling, why not ask your child, are you okay with that F? Because again, there's a story behind it. What if they were having a hard time in social studies and they couldn't communicate with the teacher? What if they weren't getting it? This is an opportunity for me to say, okay, how could I support you? What grade would you want? You would like a C? So what can I do to help you get that C? Do you need a tutor? Do I need to talk to the teacher? Do I need to help you study? Maybe it's a study habit. It opens up the door for communication, because now my son knows, or my daughter at this point will know, that mom's here to support me. She's not going to judge me. It doesn't make me less than. We're living in a society. I can't tell you, Tony, how many clients I have that are depressed, anxiety, cutting, self-harm some way. And they have no self-worth and they never feel like they're enough.
And that's just the adults.
And unfortunately now, all these, but I look at myself and that's how I felt growing up. Like It's not, parents have this belief that as long as our kids know we love them, then they'll feel safe and they feel great. I knew my mom loved me and I still grew up hating myself and not liking myself. I still felt like I wasn't enough. I still felt like if I showed my mom less than a B or an A, that it would prove to her through my beliefs that I wasn't good enough. So, and this is one of the things that I talk with parents and kids, right? When I do the coaching with both, is helping the kids understand that there's nothing that you can do that will make your parents think you're not good enough. And I get the communication with the parents, and I talk to the parents like, why would, I'll make up a name, why would Lisa think that she would disappoint me? And I said, where in the past has she ever showed you something and you maybe not have shown a little bit of enthusiasm when she needed it? And the parents are like, I can't think of it, but I could talk to Lisa and she could tell me at least 10.
Right.
Right.
Well, a lot of parents are in denial, both in their accepting responsibility in maybe some of the mistakes that they've made. And in fairness, some parents are still fighting the demons of their own childhood. So
Absolutely.
they, and so, keeping in mind that we could only, and I say we, all of us, have a parenting style that many of us have learned from our own upbringing, from our own, the way that we were brought up. So there's only so much that we can do, right? That's why we've got to get out of our comfort zone and ask for help and look at different ways and different possibilities of doing things.
And be open to saying, hey, there is something different. So like I look at parenting, because, we have these new styles of parenting, right? You said style of parenting, like helicopter parenting and all this, like being hovering over your kids. I look at it as a behavior. All of our parenting is just a behavior. It's a reflection of the way we're interpreting what's going on and how we're going to handle it. And like you said, how many of us are still dealing with old wounds of our own? And does it trigger something in us, Because, I don't know about you, Tony, but although I am a totally different person I was 10 years ago, I still have growth. I still have areas of Veenu that needs to still expand and grow upon. And sure. I want that. I don't ever want to reach, first of all, there's no such word as perfection to me anymore, because I used to be a perfectionist until I realized that each and every one of us have our own standard of what perfect is. So for me, I'm always going to be reaching for the next level, whatever that looks like for me at that time, because I always want to be growing, because if I'm not growing, I'm dying. And I always want to surround myself with that peer group that continues to help me grow. And that's why you and I've been friends for so long. Like you and I can do a pitch and catch conversation, and each of us grow in that conversation we think it's going to be 15 minutes. And then 2 hours later, we're like, okay, one more thing, because each of us crave that. Same with our kids. We need to install in them, you are who you hang out with.
Absolutely.
The quality of your friends is the quality of you. So choose wisely.
Absolutely. Because who you hang out with, who you spend time with is really who you ultimately are going to become, right? So that's why it's important for us to know who our kids' peer groups are, because even as adults, for God's sakes, there's so many of us that hang out with toxic people. We know that they're toxic, but we choose to be there. I was having a conversation with someone earlier today, and she was